And there are the geese. That fish eagle almost looked like he was about to fly. So get ready. Look there, slight bit of movement in the legs. Who's going to get that killer screenshot of a fish eagle taking off? It was the fish eagle throwing us a bait and switch. Now, from a photography point of view, specifically with birds, patience is key. So we're in the right spot. It's likely that that fish eagle is going to fly at some point. Now, many a photographer has spent many hours waiting next to a fish eagle just like this. Look, but that fish eagle looks still quite comfortable. Now, of course, fish makes a major part of their diet, but they will eat, as I said, baby ducks, geese, water birds, monitor lizards, terrapins. So apparently there are some fantastic screenshots already. Now what are you watching for on that fish eagle for it to take off? Oh, I missed it. I missed it. Chasing the geese. Oh dear. I was watching the geese. But have a quick look. This is quite a cool one. There we go. You can see there's the fish eagle, and then the reflection of the geese coming through. I just heard the geese are back. The fish eagle is gone. So we're going to keep moving. So nice, warming up a little bit. Now let's hope the leopard viewing warms up as well. Hyena tracks on hard soil. So they said all the female leopards are to the west of us, but who knows, maybe there's a male around here. Tingana likes to spend quite a bit of time in this area. Hi, Michael. Michael's 18. Michael says, we know that male leopards commit infanticide, and which means killing of baby leopards that they think are not their offspring, and even sometimes that are their offspring. And Michael's saying, well, but what about female leopards? Most definitely unrelated female leopards will commit infanticide on cubs of another female. So it is not that. It's less common than males, but not uncommon and not unheard of. So far, just hyenas wandering around here. No sign of any of the other cats. Oh, there we go. Kudu. Quite a big group of kudu. There's a nice young male about to walk out. Probably about 7 or 8 spread through the thickets. Another young male. The tallest antelope we get here, or tallest at the shoulder. We do have some incredibly beautifully large male specimens around. Don't seem to be with this little group. This seems to be females and young males. Moving through the thickets, and that's the last view we're going to get of that lot as they disappear. It's such a beautiful and elegant antelope, the greater kudu. Okay, so we're going to keep checking for a little bit more in Arathusa before heading back to Djuma. But while we do that, let's go see what James is up to.
I'm just operating on a hunch here, everyone. I did go for a brief walk, but I didn't find anything other than very pleasant bird song and nice smells of the late winter. We're driving along the drainage line that runs parallel with the camp. Now, you can see the fence there. Karula jumped clean over this fence yesterday evening. And as far as I'm aware, Brent did not find any tracks in a fairly extensive search this morning. So I'm just doing a little lurk around here along the drainage line towards the dam, and we'll see if we don't pick something up. That, for example, would be ideal. It is a little bushbuck that would be devoured in seconds. Doesn't look like a particularly panicked little bushbuck, but where is its mother? That is the question. I've stopped a few times and thought I'd heard crunching, that crunching sound that we heard so clearly at the lions. I've found any number of leopards by walking through the bush and using my ears and hearing that crunching sound. Well, it's certainly not that little bushbuck that's being eaten. Do you see how confiding he is, or she is? Because so used to people being around the camp there, you see, and so much less skittish than the ones that don't live near the camp. Just look up in these trees here. Hello Donnie, you're a new viewer. It's lovely to have you with us. Thank you for your question. You want to know how big this area is that the animals can roam? Well, there's a duiker in there as well. It's beautifully hidden. Donnie, I'll get back to you. See there, Eggsy? Well spotted. You can just see it silhouetted there, backlit. One of our smaller antelope. Donnie, they can actually survive, at least the entire area, fence to fence, north to south, east to west, is 8.5 million acres. That's 3.5 million hectares, or 80 or 35,000 square kilometers. I'm not going to work out how many square miles that is. But I probably can. It is roughly, what would it be? It's roughly 20,000 square miles. So it's a massive area, but the area that we move in is much smaller than that. The area that we operate in is 6,500 acres, so it's quite a lot smaller. But there are no fences between us and the greater area. So the larger area is called the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, which is a bit of a mouthful. But it extends into Mozambique and north into Zimbabwe, and then the bulk of it is the Kruger National Park in South Africa. But between all those three areas, there are no fences at all. So there's a fence on the western border, a fence on the far eastern border in Mozambique, and then a fence on the northern border inside Zimbabwe. But Donnie, otherwise, the animals are free to come and go as they please. Many of them do travel widely. The elephants, for example, will go big distances. However, many do not. So it's just the territorial leopards and lions, they operate in much smaller areas. Nice question. Thank you, Donnie, and thank you for joining us, and I hope that you will be with us a bit longer. I'm just going to get hold of Brent. Apparently he's trying to get hold of me on the radio. Brent, go ahead. I'll put him on speakerphone so you can hear him. Brent Leo Smith, go ahead.
James, just to let you know, an update from the Zoomy that Kudu passed the dam town last night heading south. I checked the dams, I checked the Milwaukee, nothing there, and I might have missed traffic earlier on that, Vultures Nest, but I can't find anything heading further south than that.
Copy, thank you very much. So an update from the Zoomy saying that Karula did go south from the dam, which is the little dams up there. She went south. Brent didn't find tracks. It doesn't surprise me, A, because she's a leopard, and B, because we go out quite early in the morning and the light is very difficult, and to find a difficult to track animal in good light is difficult. Now here are some buffaloes. I was going to say buffalo, but then buffalo came out. I quite like the term buffalo. Now, it's a bit of a funeral march for these chaps, everybody. They lost a friend last night. And they're coming up towards the Galago Pan to have a drink, but what is very interesting here, let's see if Eggsy spots it. Eggsy, there's something unusual about this little group. There's a very light brown one, yes? What is it about that light brown one that is so unusual, Eggsy? It's a cow. Well spotted. So by strict definition, this would be a breeding herd, but, well, it's got one cow in it. It's extremely unusual. Normally, everyone would be sitting here with bull buffalo, and that cow on her own with them is very strange. Micah in Hawaii, nice to hear from you. Thank you for getting hold of us. And also, especially, thank you for telling us where you are on this exotic planet that we have. Micah, you want to know, there are two aspects to your question. You want to know if poachers attack water buffalo. These are not water buffalo. They look like water buffalo, but they aren't water buffalo. They are the standard issue Cape buffalo. Water buffalo are the South American, at least South Asian species, which has been introduced into Australia. That's a water buffalo. It looks very similar. It's quite closely related, but it is very different. And secondly, no, they don't have poachers really. Poachers will try and kill them for their meat, but not for their horns. Their horns are, well, interestingly, I mean, they're made of the same stuff as rhino horn. We'll just, while you're looking at the waterhole view, we'll move around. You can see where we are as we come into view. What you find, Micah, is that the horns are made of keratin in much the same way that rhino horn is made of keratin, but for some reason poachers are not, or certainly the people who use rhino horn as medicine don't seem to think that that particular kind of keratin is of any value. Now, of course, all of this is totally illogical, but somehow the buffalo have been spared. Now you can see us. Wave, Eggsy. We're going past everybody. Hello, everybody. And we'll just come up and get a nice view of these buffalo. And there you can see us now. Well, you can't see us now. You can see me in my eyes, shining in the golden light. And we'll move up and get a closer look at these beefies. Hello, beefy buffaloes. Now, if you look at the one on the far left, you can see that it's looking a bit ribby. It's not looking particularly healthy. And I think that's about the same size as the one that met its end at the claws and teeth of the Nkuhuma Pride last night. Hello, country boy for life. You want to know if a water buffalo is bigger than a Cape buffalo? Country boy for life, I don't know the answer to that question. I think that they're about the same size, to be honest. I think it's possible that a water buffalo is slightly bigger, but I think they're about the same size. These things weigh at their zenith about 800 kilograms. That is many thousands of pounds, about 2,000 pounds. I'm not sure exactly how big a water buffalo gets. I think they may get up to a ton, actually. Yeah, they may reach a ton. I must confess that I've yet to take a photograph of a buffalo that I think, oh, that's a nice photograph. Hello, Andrew. You're wondering about fish and whether there are any in this water. There probably aren't any in this particular water. You'll find terrapins here, which are a kind of, not amphibian, they're a kind of reptile, like a tortoise or a turtle. But I don't think you'll find fish in this particular pan, because I think there's a bit too much activity in it, and it's not very deep. But you will find many fish. After heavy rains, when the big dams fill up, you saw us driving through the dam there. Once those dams fill up, you'll find many catfish, many tilapia, and various other kinds of fishes in them. How they get there is often something of a mystery, but I think they come on birds' legs and on birds' dung, in birds' dung, and also I think many of their eggs are able to remain dormant in the mud or in the drying sort of vegetation. That they just they don't die, and then when the rains come, they reinvigorate and become fish. But catfish is the bulk of the fish that we find in these little waterholes, and tilapia. In fact, when Buffelshoek Hook Dam, which is the biggest dam here, or used to be the biggest dam here, when that dried out circa Christmas time last year, we definitely found a massive number of dying or dead tilapia. That the birds actually couldn't even finish, so many of them just rotted in the sun, which made for a very pleasant ambient smell. Now, Eggsy, if you wouldn't mind just tilting the camera there towards the nest cam. Can you see the nest cam? So there are now 2 or 3 ways of viewing what's going on at the waterhole here. You can look at the nest cam. I think you find it on our website. You can look at the Djuma Dam cam, which is one of the views of the buffalo that you just had as we were driving up here. And then if we happen to be parked here, well, then you've got 3 views. And I think the nest cam is looking at us now. It's looking at us in sweet, comforting repose. You see that, Eggsy? You must always look relaxed around these animals, so that people realize what a wonderful environment it is that we live in. All the oxpeckers coming down now, having a drink. Let me see if I can get a picture of them. Michael, you're 18 years old, and I think that you're correct. Brent, or I think Brent's correct, certainly, that you say you came across this herd a little while back, and Brent suggested that it was highly likely that she'd become separated from her herd, and that's why she joined up with these bulls. I think that's exactly what's happened. The question is why she got separated. Was she giving birth, maybe? Maybe she lost her calf. Why? Look at the terrapin there. Just get down there, right underneath there. Yeah, well done. Look at the big terrapin there. There you are, Micah. That's a serrated hinged terrapin. Very cool. So I would agree, Michael, that she's been separated somehow. Maybe she had a calf, lost the calf. The herds do move on when these buffalo have calves. I don't know. She looks to be in pretty good nick. It's not a bad idea to hang around these bulls if you're a female or a young bull, because they offer protection in two ways. One, they're big and strong, and so they're quite scary for predators to try and kill. And two, they're not quite as sprightly as they once were, which means that if a lion was to choose to kill one of this group, they might go for one of the older, infirm bulls than a very young male or a very healthy female. And she looks in pretty good nick. Hello, Lisa. You're in New York and you're wondering about how often they need to drink. Lisa, they need to drink normally twice a day, at least once a day, but in winter it'll be twice a day because the forage is so much drier. The grass that they eat is so dry right now. They do have to drink a lot more often. Eggsy, if you look down there, you can see a whole lot more of them coming. 3 more and some kudu. Now you see this kind of action is going to start happening more and more and more as we go towards September and October, when things are going to get very, very dry indeed. Raisa, it's good to have you back with us. You say you wonder if the conversation has to change amongst the bulls when there's a cow amongst them, so they have to clean up their act a little bit and perhaps talk a little more formally and less about dirty subjects. Raisa, I'm sure that's exactly what happens with these bulls. You know, they look so old and wizened that I'm sure they're very gentlemanly in their conduct around this cow. Lovely picture of them coming across the water there. Alright, while we enjoy this rather lazy, beautiful Monday morning scene, let's go across to Arathusa and find out where in the world Brent Leo Smith is searching for animals.
So we abandoned Arathusa. Not much happening there, no radio updates, no tracks. All the dominant female leopards that we might be looking for, male leopards, were all found in the west and in the south. So there's that report of Mvula and Shaluva 2005 model were mating at Hardakor, which is not too far from here, and then they got chased south, and Aubrey has tracks somewhere around this area, so fingers crossed that they might be around the northern boundary. And so we're just going to meander slowly to the east. We've just passed the gate, and we're just going to keep going slowly, see if we find any tracks, enjoy the morning warmth as the sun beats down. There's an interesting question from Kevin. What speed do we try not exceed when chasing wild dogs in particular? Well, Kevin, it all depends on the terrain around us. Our speedometers don't work, so we don't even know what speed we're going when we're chasing wild dogs. But I'd say we probably very seldom get up to about 60 k's an hour, and that's only if it happened to be on a road like this and they were running parallel. Normally it's the bush, the vegetation keeps our speed down. Okay, so this is where they were chased. So those leopards were chased by the Inkahumas last night, And Aubrey said he had tracks around Rubbing Post Dam, which is over there, about over there. But it's on that same little river system that goes towards Mvubu Road. So we're just going to slowly amble down here. While I walk in the rain where is Mr. Anderson? As far as I know, he's down south Londolozi way. He's obviously just fallen off a car at main access roads. But whenever we do see anything, we do stop and pick it up. And if everyone in the world stopped and picked up trash when they saw it, the world would be a much cleaner place. Or not throw it out in the first place, yes. I think what happens on the main access road, I think it falls off the vehicles accidentally. And it is a busy road. And with the open vehicles, quite often things slip through the seats. I don't think anyone intentionally litters out here in the game reserve, but outside, there's definite intentional littering. Okay, so I'm hoping that this area from this sort of mound here to Mvubu Road is where we might find tracks of those leopards if they did cross. So even though it's been quite a chilly start to the morning, I think it's going to get quite warm today. Vim, any guesses? 34. Oof, Vim going high. I was going to say around 29, maybe 30 degrees. Apparently, according to the weather, it is going to be 34, but they said it was 16 degrees this morning, and I definitely don't think it was. I think it was a couple of degrees colder, probably around 12. But of course, retrospect is an exact science. Now, we are getting closer to September, so we might be getting some of our migratory bird species back. And Anna Marie is wondering, will steppe eagles return at about the same time as the woodlands kingfishers? Anna Marie, it's very difficult to call this year due to the drought, and there's lots of variables that might. Liam's got a big smile on his face, our first leopard track of the morning. Am I going to see it if I turn now? Ah, well spotted, Vim. Female leopard tracks. And is that male up ahead there as well? Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Coming up here, I still see the female, but is that a male that's joined? That's a lion. Okay, well that's not what. Alright, this is where the Nkuhuma's crossed. There we go. Okay, so we've got female leopard tracks. They are heading east, so maybe our gamble is paid off. Fingers crossed. And very slowly now. Now, this could be Karula, if it's just a female. And she continues. Historically, this is very much a core part of her territory, and where we saw her last night is no more than a couple of 100 meters from here. Oh, lion tracks everywhere. No more leopard tracks for him. And we'll have to go back. I just want to check down into the dip. While we do that, let's go see what Commander Bond is up to.
There be vultures up ahead, everybody. Many of them in trees. Something be demised in this area. And a tawny eagle. Something has died here. Didn't Brent have these vultures earlier this morning? There's one there, you can see. That's only one, but there are a whole lot more. And I think he asked Herbie to come and have a look here. It's too early for them to have been here because Karula, if Karula killed. Now, there's also Eggsy to the left. There's a big bird in the tree there. I'm pretty sure it's a batalea. Now, bataleas. Egbert, why is your camera making such a loud and offensive whining noise? It is deeply offensive. There is a batalea, everybody. Now, batalea are the first of these carcasses, whatever carcasses there are. And they're obviously a better indication sometimes of where the carcass is because they don't have the need to sit in dead trees. For some reason, vultures don't like to sit in a tree like the one the batalea's in there. It looks like it's looking straight down, doesn't it? I think we should go around there. There's another road just there. Let's just go all the way down here and then we'll go up that way. Eggsy, I'm going to challenge you severely now. They're the vultures. Let's just have a look at them. And always a good idea to have a listen, like I say, for the crunching of bone. All white-backed. See the one yawn there? One on the top just opened his beak and yawned. Yes, I'm seeing things, which is possible. But I did think I saw, and I don't want to get everybody too excited, I thought I saw a rock martin flying over here. Now, a rock martin is a completely indistinct swallow-like bird of very little note, other than the fact that I don't think they're very common here. Has anyone got rock martin on their bird list? I'm just going to be quiet for the next 30 seconds. Let's just see if we can't hear some sort of crunching noise. No, I can't hear any crunching noise at all. I think a better indication of what these things are looking at is where that batalea is. Okay, let's go around the batalea and see what we can see. Otherwise I might just take a little trot down into the drainage there on foot. And you also would have heard there the lovely sound of the chin spot batis. Now, we have a question from what was possibly a new viewer, and could well be a relation of Eggsy's. Someone called Beardosaurus Rex. Beardosaurus Rex, are you related to Eggsy in any way? Eggsy has a very impressive beard. You want to know how bad the bugs are in this area? Well, depends entirely on your definition of bad, Beardosaurus Rex. They are numerous, certainly. In the summertime. In the wintertime we see hardly any bugs or beetles or insects or anything else, but in summer after the rain there are many, and if you don't like insects, if they frighten you, it can be a little trying at night sometimes. But yeah, there are very few of them that are poisonous, very few of them that are dangerous to human beings at all. The most dangerous is a mosquito, of course, that has malaria, but it's very uncommon in this area. So yeah, Beardosaurus Rex, there are numerous and many and varied, hundreds of different kinds of insects and arachnids and various other things that fly around here and make people go ee when they fly into their food or into their faces. But very few of them, very few, if any of them, are harmful to us in any way at all. Beardosaurus Rex, are you sure you're not related to Eggsy? Hello, Susan in the Netherlands. You say yesterday I said insects don't technically have a heart. What did I mean by that? I don't think they have a heart in the same way that we do. So we have a heart that is pumping blood around the body all the time. It's got 4 chambers in it. Birds have a very similar kind of a heart, as do the reptiles and amphibians. And as far as I'm aware, I'm not exactly sure what kind of organ an insect has to pump its hemolymph around the body, but I think it's slightly different from our. It was very different from our heart. I mean, I've no doubt that there's a valve system that involves some kind of contractions that move the blood around the place, but I'm actually not sure. I can't believe I don't know this. I'm not sure exactly how that mechanism works, and the reason I questioned it yesterday was simply because when we say we're looking for a heartbeat, we normally mean a bird or a mammal or some kind of vertebrate. It's normally not an insect. If anyone can help out there, maybe Judy H., our resident expert naturalist, how does an insect's heart work? I don't remember that. I'm sure I probably learnt it in sort of 7th grade at school, but I don't remember. I cannot remember it now. Now the Battalier was just up ahead here. He was in a tree looking directly down onto this road or into this drainage system here. This is round about where Karula gave birth, everybody, 8 months ago just about, to little Shongile and Hosana, both of whom are currently growing up without me, which I feel very distressed about. Right, let's look around here. Hello James Richard, you want to know about Battaliers, and you say you know that they are a kind of snake eagle. Well, they're not strictly a kind of snake eagle. I mean, they're sort of placed in the same group, but they're not the same genus at all as many of the snake eagles. I suppose, yes, some people do describe them as snake eagles. You said, do they eat snakes? Yes, they do. I've definitely seen them eating puff adders before. I don't think they're nearly as enthusiastic about snake killing as many of the other snake eagles. And as far as I know, no. The answer is that the snake eagles are not immune to snake venom. I suppose they could be less prone to dying from it than, say, us. But I don't think they're immune to it in the same way that, say, a honey badger can be immune to it. Now, let's just have a listen here. It was around about here that we had the Battalier. Listen for squirrel alarm calls, or listen to birds alarm calling. But all we can hear at the moment is the very peaceful sound of the chin spot batters. The other thing that snake eagles have, James Richard, is very long and unfeathered legs, which makes it very difficult for snakes to get hold of them. That's the main adaptation that they have. You can hear some apalices in the background there going chicka 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 chicka. Just listening to Brent speaking, everyone. Brent has got tracks of mating leopards crossing into Vuyatela from the buffels of Katline. That would seem to be Shiluva and Mabula. It's very exciting. I'd love to see him again. Alright, let's ease our way up this road. I'm looking for tracks myself, but I don't see any tracks here. Maybe in the drainage, maybe I've interpreted this incorrectly. It is possible. I know it seems very unlikely, but it is possible. Hello country boy for life. You want to know how we tell the difference between male and female leopard and lion tracks? Simply on size. The male has a bigger foot than a female, and therefore it's easy to tell the difference between male and female. Male lion has a footprint roughly the same size as my hand. That's pretty big male. Female about that size. So you can see there's quite a difference. A male leopard would be the size of my fist, and a female leopard will fit sort of into the neat circle in between the knuckles and the ankle and the wrist joint there. So that would be female leopard, full fist male leopard. That would be a lioness, and that would be a lion. So that's a rough guess of how the sizes of the tracks work. Of course, if you're the size of Bentley O. Smith, it doesn't work quite like that, but for me that's how it works. A nice rule of thumb to work off. I think the Batelier was in this tree, but I think it's taken fright now, or it's on the ground pilfering some meat from some hapless predator. I don't see anything in here. Let's have one more stop and listen, and then we'll move on and go around to the other side of this block. Look down into this drainage. There we go. It was in one of these little caves that Kudu gave birth to her 2 latest little cubbies. Gorgeous morning, isn't it, Eggsy?
Yes.
Yes, it is. I'm glad you agree. Alright, let's carry on. There's one thing I just want to show you here. And I know I've shown them to you before, but here's the Batelier coming overhead. Well done, Eggsy, good job. I knew it was coming because that white-crowned shrike, you would have heard it going. Well done, Eggsy. Now, I've lost what I was trying to show you here because the light is wrong. Hang on a sec. Ah, yes. You see over here? You see the spider's web? That is probably a tropical tent web spider, everybody. And the spider is in there. The spider, I don't think you're going to be able to see even with that amazing camera that we have there. The spider is less than 1 millimeter in length. So 1 millimeter is roughly... you got it? Sorry. Let me just pick that stick. But the spider is in there, and if you look at this piece of stick that I have here, the spider is no wider than the tip of this tiny little stick. And somehow it has managed to create something of such immense intricacy and complication from a brain that cannot be, well, more than a few cells in size. And I just find that absolutely astounding. It'll be waiting patiently there for tiny, tiny, tiny little insects to fly into the, probably ants actually, to climb up the tree and fall into that lattice work. A sort of circus-like or trapeze-like net. Thank you, Bud, in North Carolina. I thought it was something like this. You say insects have a rudimentary heart that sort of slosh the hemolymph around inside the open cavity of the body. There are no blood vessels. That makes sense. Thank you very much, Bud. Brilliant stuff. There are, of course, vessels in the wings of a butterfly, but they're kept taut by the hydraulic pressure, which I think is amazing. So if you think of a bird or a bat's wings, they're kept fixed by bones. A butterfly's wings are kept taut hydraulically, so they're kept taut by a pressure of liquid, which is, I think, is astounding. Thank you very much for that, Bud. That's great. Hello Andrew, you say how many bugs bite? Well, many. Remember, bug of course is a generic term that we use, but it's actually a biological term for a specific order of insects. And the order of bugs, the Hemiptera, there are quite a few biters in the Hemiptera. They include stink bugs, which smell disgusting. Assassin bugs, which will spray a nasty, disgusting stuff on you that will hurt a lot. There are a few biting bugs in the Hemiptera. But then, if we're talking widely about insects, there are not many that would bite you to the extent that you needed to yelp out in pain. You might say one bad word or two, but you certainly wouldn't go ballistic with writhe about in pain. So I think you'd be absolutely fine. Here is the Mahindra. Herbert is out here obviously doing some tracking. We've just come past here though, so he's obviously been knocking about here for some time. Good luck, Herbie. That's good news. I'm glad he's around here. Simon, very nice question from you, and it's actually really nice. Discussion point. You say, is it safe to walk around at night in a wilderness area where there are perhaps no big animals, but there are leopards? And the answer, Simon, is going to be revealed to you once we've spoken to Herbert. Herbert is suffering from the same frog in the throat that I am. Okay, alright. Okay, see you later. He's done exactly what we've been doing, everybody. So obviously saw the battalier that side, he went to look there, now he's going to go down and check that way, which we shall do as well. Simon, you will be amazed to know, I don't know where you're getting hold of us from, but there are leopards basically everywhere you go. If you're not in a major city in this country, or in many countries in southern Africa, and indeed not only in southern Africa, or through India, and into Russia and China, there are leopards everywhere. We just don't see them. So yes, in essence, the chances of you being taken out by a leopard in a wild area at night, especially if it's not a game reserve region like this, very small indeed. And they're there, it's possible. Yeah, you could get taken by a leopard in this area, but the leopard concentration here is quite high. You don't want to come across any big cat at night, but there are lots of places in South Africa where you can be very safe outside at night, where there are leopards. They do live there, but they're not habituated to people, and often, say for example in the Cape Mountains, they're much smaller than the ones we get here. They eat smaller prey. They don't sort of think of human beings as prey at all. They've been persecuted for millennia, and so they just stay out of the way of human beings. So Simon, that would be perfectly safe to go into the Cape Mountains. And what we certainly Sam Chevalier used to talk about that often. He was a presenter here, for those of you who don't know, and he spent much time out in those Cape Mountains at night. It's perfectly safe. But the rule of thumb is that all big cats will become a lot braver at night than they will during the day, and that's simply because they are, it's their time. They can see where you can't see, and that's one of the major reasons you walk with a torch at night, is so that you can walk with confidence. I remember a trainer of mine saying to me once, you don't want to walk around at night without a torch because you'll trip over things, and if you trip over things you look like you can't see what's going on, which will make a predator will notice that immediately. They can immediately notice if you're at a disadvantage. Perhaps you're limping or you're coughing and spluttering, and if you're tripping over everything, then they're going to think, oh, he can't see nothing, let me go and see what he tastes like. He then, of course, if it happened to be Eggsy, he'd be sorely disappointed, because Eggsy would just taste like his beard. Eggsy's beard is roughly the same mass as Eggsy. Alright, let's do a little drive up the drainage here. Herbie's just in the block over here, so we'll drive up this drainage line. And see if we can't find something nice here. Maybe. Seen a diker. Let me just... Now, could be a leopard in here somewhere. But I don't really understand. You know what's possible here? Maybe Karula killed a few days ago in here. And she's left the cubs here, maybe. And she was maybe just doing a turret. Well, except she didn't look like she'd been eaten. She didn't look like she'd been eaten. She didn't look like she'd eaten yesterday, so maybe that's incorrect. Something's died in here. While we investigate, let's go and find out how Brent's tracking has gone.
Okay, so what we did is I took a quick walk from where we saw those leopard tracks, and they sort of were heading in this general direction towards Mvubu Road. Now the amazing thing is everywhere I walk, there are lion tracks and little buffalo tracks running. So the lions have literally been everywhere. Their kills probably about a kilometer here, but they were all over this area last night. I've called Herbie. So what I did is I got VM to drive the car around, and I walked through the bush, and I came out somewhere here. And I just want to mark these female leopard tracks for Herbie. Here we go. And there was a clear, it was a nice clear one. So she came from the boundary down into the river system, and there a male track with her, but I didn't find the male track crossing here. And she came, there we go. Okay, so she's gone back north. I just want to see if we can make sure we can see where she maybe crosses the road. Now, there's buffalo tracks running, there's lion tracks running, there's a male leopard track as well. So this could be Mvula and Shaluva. Okay, so we've still got tracks here, still got tracks here, no tracks from here. So it looks like they've gone into the block here, so we're going to go back onto the fire break and round again, fingers crossed. And one of the reasons I took that walk and I asked VM to drive around for me is also so I could hear more while I was walking through the bush, making sure if they were mating, we would hear it. Of course, half the fun about being on safari every day is figuring out these little puzzles. Now, I found one of their tracks on top of the lion tracks, which gives me a good idea of the age. So we know that those lions were chasing buffalo around 4 a.m. These tracks are on top. So these probably, well, between 4 a.m. and about now, that means those leopards have moved through this area. Now, hi Lynn. Lynn is in Michigan, and Lynn is wondering, is Shadow still with Tingana? You know what, I'm not going to check the fire break just yet. It's harder to see tracks there. I'm going to check the main northern boundary, make sure they didn't cross our boundary again. If we get nothing, then we'll come down the fire break. So Lynn was asking about Tingana and Shadow. I haven't heard anything, Lynn, so I would be lying if I told you I knew. Herbie, those Nkonzo cross Mvubu Road going north, I've marked last Nkonzo on Mvubu Road. I'm just going to check Buffelshoek boundary towards Gari cut line, make sure they don't cross north again. Okay, so a lot of tracking now. So if we had lots of time, we'd stay on foot on those tracks, following track to track. But that often takes a lot of time to find animals. So the tracks have gone. So now what I'm doing is going, okay, I'm a leopard. I'm actually a mating pair of leopards in my mind. Where would I go? Now the lions have just made a hell of a racket out that side. So I'm going to try go away from the lions. Now we want them, fingers crossed, to go more east, but their last direction was sort of northeast. So if they are going to cross this road, it's going to be, in my thinking like a leopard, it's going to be in the next 300 meters along the crest here. So we're going to go slowly, hang our head over the side, hope we don't see any tracks. Now, hi Vicky. Vicky's wondering, how safe is it to ride a bicycle out here? The answer is not very at all. So you give up your bipedal, your dominant predator stance when you get onto bicycles. So you join the impalas and the kudus. And put it this way, my dad was riding a motorbike in Zululand and he got chased by 2 male cheetah. And if cheetah will chase you on a motorbike, lions would definitely, and I know a friend of mine got chased by lions on a motorbike. I have been chased by elephants on a motorbike. Elephants really don't like motorbikes. So if you can't do it on a motorbike, a bicycle is an even worse idea. I must try to find that. I've got a picture from the reserve, my home reserve. And there's one of the guys on one of the other farms that make up the reserve used to ride a bicycle to go switch on the water pump. And the lions came across him, and he threw his bicycle very wisely to the ground and ran for the trees. But there's a photograph after he managed to get hold of someone of our whole pride of lions chewing on his bicycle. I'll see if I can find it. Just final control, remind me, and then I'll bring it on the sunset safari. Hi Simon. Simon's in Nature's Valley, which is a very beautiful part of South Africa, on the east coast along the Garden Route. And Simon says, how do you track safely without a guide? I often see tracks in my area and would like to follow them. Well, I think, Simon, the biggest positive for you is because that area is quite populated, the leopards there are going to be very scarce, and you can probably track them completely safely without ever seeing a leopard. I think maybe what you should do, Simon, is get hold of a camera trap. So on some of the paths that are regularly used, and pop a camera trap up. And a good thing is to get a little steel casing like mine with a chain. And here, of course, the chain and the steel casing is to protect it from the spotted hyena, but it also in other areas works because you can put a lock on it and it protects it from the human hyena. Now, only the honest ones that don't carry bolt cutters around with them, of course, but that's what I would do. I would say, Simon, you're more than welcome to try track. I think those leopards are so adept at avoiding people that you would be very, very lucky to even catch a glimpse. You must remember, leopards are not trying to We don't really fall part of their natural prey unless a small child or elderly. So I think you'd probably be very safe tracking them in that area. Also, the tracking in that area in those forests is going to be quite difficult. So I think you'd have a good test. But I think the chances of actually finding a leopard would be very, very slim. Now I'm going to keep checking very carefully along here, and while we do that, let's go see James.
Hello everybody, we're just doing a little boat trip down the Mulwawati drainage line. We've found nothing here, but we have found much very beautiful bird song. And we're going to stop here and share that with you shortly. Let's do it right here. Now, you may or may not have been on drive a few nights ago when I came down this area, and I thought I heard a white-throated robin, and I couldn't find it, and I think that's what's calling here now. You hear that? Blip, 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 blip. It's a beautiful call. Oh, and then Eggsy, just on the ground there. Can you see on the ground there? Well done. There's a white-browed scrub robin that you're looking at there. It's in the middle of the screen. There you go. All the robins are out. Something else making very swizzling calls up in the knobthorn trees here. Oh, it's beautiful. Let's just go around the corner here. Now, I must just tell you everybody, we were talking about bugs that can bite. I'm told that the longhorn beetle has got quite a severe set of mandibles, and that's what that is. And the reason I'm laughing is that I felt it crawling on my ankle. Now, of course, Eggsy just did exactly what I was not able to do because we were live. He went, I felt this thing crawling on my ankle, and I thought, keep calm. And I looked down expecting to find a baboon spider crawling up my leg, but it was just that little longhorn beetle. Maggie, you say that Brent has indicated that there was probably that many of the migrants might come back later because of the drought, and you want to know how they know about the drought. I'm not sure. I suppose it's possible that they could come back later. We haven't seen any Wahlberg's eagles yet. We should have seen them by now. Well, I don't know. Does anybody actually have the date from last year? I seem to remember it being around the 16th of August. But if they do come back late, it won't be because they know about the drought. It's because they experienced the drought when they were here in the summertime. Now, through the course of evolutionary time, what would have happened is that birds will realize, because normally, remember, they come back before the rain. They come back normally sort of September, October, sometimes November, when there's been maybe a little bit of rain, but not much. The heat has gone up. Oh, it's a lovely duiker sighting there. It was a lovely duiker sighting there. Sorry about that, Eggsy. He wasn't very good to us. But they would have come here and spent a very dry, wet season here. That's the actual drought. We're actually in a standard issue dry season at the moment that is made more severe by the fact that we didn't have any rain last year. Now, the lack of rain last year probably would have triggered something in those birds, if they are going to come back late, that said, hold off a second, we must stay north as long as we can in order to wait and see if the rains don't arrive sooner after that we arrive than normal. I would say that was the answer. So I don't think there's any in any way that they're predicting or in some way knowing what the conditions are here. But it would not surprise me one day to find that they could figure that out. And Fuzzman Sparkles, you want to know when the Carmines will come back. Carmines come back late. I think they only sort of hit this area around sort of December or January. Let's have a look while we drive along and the car drives itself. Carmine Bee-Eater. Eggsy? Are we steering? Not really. Yeah. It says arrives August to September, but you know, I've never seen them here in August and September. They arrive in Zimbabwe around August and September, but they don't arrive back here until much later. Here we go, South Africa from December onwards. Yeah. From December onwards they'll come down here. There's a very large monkey, not a very large monkey, but a monkey sitting out in the open there. You can see the monkey there. And he's loving the jackalberries. I bet this is where Brent saw the vervet monkeys today, in this very tree. It's been excellent primate viewing here. Look at the two of them playing there. One of them's going to fall. That is very sweet. And again, the strength. Oh my goodness, isn't that wonderful? That's a 9 or 10 foot drop. You would break your legs jumping off that. That is unbelievable. Let's go a little bit closer. You can actually hear them land. I'll go and stand under that tree and you can see how high they are. Andrew, the answer is an unfortunate yes. You said, do monkeys ever throw their poop? They do sometimes. It is a highly disgusting habit, of course, but they have been known to throw their poop from time to time. Right, here's one quite close by. You see him there, Eggsy? Shall I go forward a bit? I'm not really sure why they choose to throw their poop, but yes, Andrew, they can sometimes decide that throwing their poo-poo is a good idea. Which it inescapably is not. You've got him there. Is the light horrible? Eggsy, you're such a complainer. He's not really, everybody, I'm just being nasty. Again. There are lots and lots of things trying to eat the jackalberries here. Monkey, birds of different species. We've got a couple of starlings, some grey go-away birds. I cannot find that monkey with my camera. The light is very odd. Ah, got him. Now, you see how relaxed he's looking? It's because he's got lots to eat. The rest of the troop is somewhere close by. Not just one monkey, it is just one, isn't it? Yes. I'm going to go a little bit forward. I think we might get a slightly better view. And there are actually quite a few still in this tree. Have you seen the others? Is that any good to you? Hello X-Ranger, you ask a very good question of Eggsy. You say, after a couple of weeks, is he finding it easier to find the things that the guides are spotting? I'm not sure that Eggsy ever had much trouble with that. I've been absolutely astounded at the speed with which he's been able to pick up things like birds that we point out. Very, fast things that go across the road, chop chop, he sees almost immediately. And you're absolutely right, that is normally the thing that takes the time for the cameraman to do. Brian and VM were extremely, they've been doing this for longer, and it's noticeable that they are the fastest, they're the two quickest at finding things that you point out to them. But Eggsy has been remarkably fast at learning that stuff. Well done, Eggsy. Yes, I think he's got a good set of peepers in his head. He is so chilled out there. He's so happy to have lots of jackalberries to eat. A warm morning, and all the lions far away, and hopefully all the leopards too for him. Right, well, I think we should move on from here. We'll do a little sojourn along the southern boundary, and then we'll head north up the middle. And while we do that, let's go and get an update from Brent Leo Smith.
So we checked the whole northern boundary, and those tracks don't come out. So we're going to check around Gary Cutline. I've shown Herbie where the last tracks were. Oh, you smell that, Fam? Popcorn. It smells like a leopard scent mark around here. The Karula was also in this area last night. So Aubrey's coming to give us a hand as well. Shamsung's wondering about my camera traps. There's actually one out at the moment that I put up. Was it yesterday or the day before? Day before. And I will sort through the photos and videos as soon as I have an opportunity. There are quite a lot to go through, but I will put out some footage and some photographs from the camera traps in the next little while. Aubrey. Aubrey, that Nkonzo crosses Mvubu Road going northeast. I've left Herbert on foot. I'm going to check Gari Cutline. I couldn't find any Nkonzo of them crossing Buffalo Cutline. No, further to the west. Probably about 100 meters north of the old Mnisikaya. They cross into that block northeasterly direction. Okay. Well, they're the poor buffalo that got chased around last night. There we go. Well, at least they know they're safe for at least 2 days. Oh, more buffalo looking very distraught with life, wandering towards the pan. Now, they've been scattered everywhere overnight by those lions. Literally, where I was following those leopard tracks, everywhere I walk, there's a buffalo track and there's a lion track near it. Oh, it's a big boy, have him. A very nice big buffalo bull, the one on the right. Nice set of horns on him. Oh, we're not going to get over the bump. Nope. Now, Glenda's wondering, do I think it's a bad idea for people with disabilities to come on safari? If you've got a limp or arthritis or whatnot. Not at all, even in a wheelchair, not at all, Glenda. A lot of the lodges are prepared to cater for people with disabilities, and people with disabilities are just as welcome to enjoy the joys of the African bush as people with abilities. Of course, within reason, I don't suggest you start doing any walking safaris, but to sit on a game drive vehicle and drive around and see the magnificence that is around us should be completely fine. Justin's wondering, can buffalo be domesticated? Sort of, Justin. They still remain wild animals and slightly unpredictable. This big guy is not looking well. He's old, he's got a very big set of horns to carry. You can see his ribs are starting to show, his hips as well. Now, unfortunately, we are going to be seeing a few more sites like this as we head deeper and deeper into the dry season and the drought. David's wondering, how do we tell male buffalo from female buffalo? Their horns mostly, David, apart from the obvious appendages a female lacks. You can see they've got that very big boss. So it's a hardened layer of keratin that they use for fighting. Females will not have these big bosses on their heads. They will have horns. This guy out front, definitely not as in good condition as the other one following. There you go, you can see his hips are showing, you can see his ribs. This boy is looking in a bit better condition. Oh, and you can feel the heat radiating at the moment, so it's definitely going to be a warm day. So those Djuma cam aficionados, I think you're going to have lots of buffalo to look at during the day between the drives. Maybe even some ellies with this heat coming through any time from, I'd guess, about 11 o'clock. So we're still checking for those leopards. We're quite confident they're still around, and we've got Herbie out on foot. So even if we don't get any luck on this sunrise safari, there's always a good chance on the sunset safari. So what we're looking for is if those leopards crossed here. So Simon in Nature's Valley, South Africa, was asking about tracking, and Simon would like to know, what is the most dangerous animal on foot to be aware of? In a drought like this, Simon, it's going to be buffalo and hippo. Those are your two, by far your two most dangerous. Some old boys like that, you might surprise them in a thicket. And hippo, because of the lack of water, they are going to be sleeping in little river systems. They're not only going to be in the water, they're going to be spread through the bush. And a hippo that's having a hard time is also, seems to be much harder of hearing than anything else, and you can stumble onto them quite easily. Hello, Nyalas. Looks like everyone's making their way towards the Djuma pan. Okay, so bye-bye Nyalas. We're going to keep looking for leopard tracks. While we do that, let's see what James is up to.
We have come past Treehouse Dam, hoping for the other leopards who were mating. That is Tingana and Shadow. Maybe we thought they might have come up here, but they have not. We've seen one emaciated buffalo, 7,000 further duikers, and that's about it. It is amazing. Eggsy and I are going to start a company called James and Eggsy Duiker Safaris. James Richard, you say you saw an update from Nkoro that said that Shadow and Tingana have gone their separate ways. That is interesting for two reasons. First of all, it means that if let's say that we saw them on the first night that they were mating, and given his reactions, I think that that's probably a fairly good guess. I would say that it was probably a false estrus then. I think she probably hasn't come into a serious estrus. And the other thing to say is that's a good thing, of course, because if she then goes back to her cub and looks after her for another month or two, the cub might be okay. So that's good news. Thank you, James, for that. When I say we saw an emaciated buffalo, I mean really he was very skinny and nasty, so I thought we wouldn't show him to you because that would depress you all. You know, you have Monday to deal with. And when I say that we saw 7,000 duikers, that is obviously a slight exaggeration. We probably saw at least 10. And we've been asked before here, what is the most numerous mammal that you get here? And the answer has always been, it's always been impala. And then I had a question yesterday from Viam as we were driving around. He said, how many scrub hares do you think you get per hectare here? So we're operating on Djuma, 1,200 hectares. And I began to think to myself, a hectare is basically the size of 2 rugby fields or 2 football fields side by side. And I don't believe that a scrub hare's territory is too much bigger than 1 hectare. Maybe 2 hectares. And therefore, there must be about 600 or so scrub hares on this reserve. So I'm beginning to wonder if perhaps the scrub hares aren't even more numerous than the impala out here. I think we often just think of the things that we see most obviously. If you drive around here at night, you see scrub hares all over the place. You see duiker all over the place. I don't think duiker have very large home ranges at all. So maybe it isn't impala, maybe it's scrub hares. Maybe it's tree squirrels. It's difficult to count the tree squirrels in an area though. Very easy to find with a helicopter during an aerial survey, Eggsy. It's difficult to find a squirrel, you know. Hello, Nicholas. You were our intern for a little while. You say, you hope we're coping without you. Well, we're just managing, Nicholas. It's obviously been a great trauma since your departure, but we're okay. And we hope that you are okay, and we hope to see you soon one day. You can come back here, hopefully this time with your car license, and we'll have another good time. We're just driving onto quarantine here. Do one last lap around here, see what happens. Hello, Lucy in South Bend, Indiana. I think you've got a very good idea. You say I should gargle some whiskey for my sore throat, and even if I swallow it, it won't do any harm. Indeed, Lucy, I would say it would do quite the opposite. Were I to gargle whiskey and swallow it, I think I'd feel immeasurably better. Until a little bit later in the day, perhaps. Very good idea. I'll probably go and do that immediately on getting home. Thank you, Lucy, for your concern. I always miss those logs. We're doing one final loop around the quarantine clearings on the western fringes thereof. And you can see here, if you're ever wondering why it is that quarantine clearings are so clear versus the rest of the reserve, well, they were cleared by hand. And this is evidenced by this road that we're turning onto now. You can see on the left hand side of the road much bush, on the right hand side of the road clearings. Right, everybody, that's going to be it from us today. Thank you, Eggy, for your efforts. I know it was very traumatic filming those lions, but you did very well. thank you everyone for putting up with me and for talking to me throughout the course of the last 3 hours. We'll hand you back to Brent to find out what the leopard's tracking has gone like for the last few minutes, and we'll see you for the sunset safari at 3 o'clock. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we've actually checked that whole block, nothing comes out. So Herbie's on foot, trying to find them in there at the moment. And just to let everyone know, I nearly forgot about it myself, but we have a very good friend of mine actually trying out as a presenter on the Sunset Safari. And her name is Ali, so you'll be meeting someone new this evening. And I'm hoping that Herbie works his magic before then in that block. Not Angus or Betty would like to know, do the ladies in Final Control ever get to go out? Well, you know, we don't like to let them out of their cage. And they get a bit cheeky and uppity. So, ooh, top of that little bush there. Oh, we need to have a camera for this. Little, looks like a testicular, but not the normal one. It is a tawny flanked prinia. I'm going to try get a bit closer, but he might fly. But yes, we do let Final Control out of their cage, but not too often. Here we go. I think that's about as close as we can push it without him flying. Yeah, wonderful little tawny flanked prinia. Oh, off it pops. But it's been an incredible sunrise safari. James has had all the lion luck, and good for him. It sounds like it was an absolutely spectacular sighting. Liam and I are insanely jealous. But we have had a wonderful time looking for leopards, enjoying the early morning in the Greater Kruger National Park. And just again to remind you, we'll have a new presenter or someone trying out as a presenter on the Sunset Safari. So be nice, like you were to all of us. And we will see you on the Sunset Safari a little later. From them, myself, goodbye.